This time, for real, we are going to watch this video that I've had my eye on for a little bit. I wanted to give it its due diligence, a couple days to let it, you know, is fester the word? Fester, I don't, maybe that's not the word. I don't know, is where it goes. But we'll see. Anyhow, let me show you guys what's going on here. Today, we have a video from Blade Cube, the problem with Zenless Zone Zero's enemies. This caught my attention, and I was able to watch like the little bit of the clip here from the YouTube preview. That's what kind of settled me on, like, I want to see that. The gist of what I'm assuming this is about has to be something about what we just got to talking about, right? The power creep, the HP inflation, whatever. But I really want to see if Blade goes into the mechanics of the game, or rather the mechanics of the enemies, and I want to hear their opinions on said mechanics and whether or not they think this is like mediocre, good, whatever, things like that. Yeah, enemies not being targetable. There are some issues with the enemies, but I want to know if they're mechanical issues or if they're subjective issues. So I'd like to see where we're going with that. Put on the headphones and let's see what we got here. Let me make sure it's not too loud for y'all.
Is this half of the combat is you, the player? The other half is
that too loud? I feel like that's too loud, right, chat?
ZZZ has been adding in new enemies every patch as expected.
Was that too loud or no? Rewind it. It's fine. All right, bet.
What on earth is this? Half of the combat is you, the player. The other half is whatever the devs put in front of you. ZZZ has been adding in new enemies every patch as expected, but it's pretty obvious that enemy design is changing. I'll be talking about these four enemies that have been featured in
Up the volume. Hold on, I got you. We'll up it a little bit, and now if I want to talk, I'll just pause it.
Shoot defense rotations and why I think they suck, and what I hope out of future encounters instead. The first enemy I want to talk about is the specialized assault bomber, or the boss version of the elite bomber.
Before he even says anything, this boss is amazing. I love that they put this boss in the game. The specialized bomber is a good boss design. I'll explain why. Okay, maybe I'll explain why before we get into what their reasoning for why it might be good or bad. This is an amazing boss that they've put in the Zenless Zone Zero. Why? There's a couple different things that this boss does that allow the player to respond accordingly or based off their own decision. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, one of the things that people actually don't get to see, is he has this really cool smoke bomb move, right? Where if you're a certain distance away from him and you let him do a certain attack string, this motherfucker will literally jump back. He backdashes, right? He did a little backstep, chucks a smoke bomb at you, and the moment it hits contact, it explodes smoke, and it's legit smoke. You can't see through it. The only indicator that you get that he is about to attack you is you can see the red flash. There's two reasons why this is really cool. Korean backdash, baby. He KBDs your ass. Now, why this is cool is because when you see the red flash, normally you would, oh, I gotta dodge, right? I have to backdash, I have to trigger out, whatever. It's a pump fake. I love this shit. If you dodge when you see the flash, he literally just wait. It's a fake flash. I don't know what to explain it, but he's playing footsies with your ass, all right? He pump fakes you. You dodge or you switch out and he instantly dashes at you and somebody's getting clapped. And I love it because the way it works is if a feint move, exactly. If you fall for the feint, you are stuck in a brief period of recovery, right? Backdashing is not like you can't spam it infinitely. You're stuck in a brief period of recovery to where you have a small frame window to be able to save yourself. Usually you get hit. It's too tight of a window for everybody to get hit. Some characters have the ability to get out of it, right? Like we talked about this before. Ellen, Nekomata, they have very specific backdashes with backdash tech that allow them to get the fuck out. Even if you fuck up, they allow you to get out of it, right? They're really cool that way. But that's one of the cool things that I like about this boss. And then on top of that fact, he doesn't have to dash at you at all. He could just smoke bomb the shit out of you and wait and then gun you down or shoot a laser beam. It's cool that he has these different options that force the player to play around that. The second thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this is that big ass blade. In his thing, which I'm hoping that Blade goes over it inside of this video so I don't have to go look for it in the game. He has this thing in his kit where it says if enough damage is done to him, something like that, or if you do whatever, then you can impair him so that his enhanced mode is broken and it doesn't do a lot of damage. You don't get too tapped by this move. If you don't impair him and you happen to get hit, he puts your ass in a combo. He literally, one big ass hit, you're kind of stunned for a little bit. He spins and does two big ass hit. He jumps in the air, that carries you with him, and then he slams down. There's like one instance during that entire combo where you have the ability to get the fuck out, But because of how wide the arc is, it's just like in Monster Hunter. You need to learn if I need to dodge backwards, forward, left, or right, because you can no longer trigger the dodge counter. They made a very unique animation with this, so you don't get the dodge counter from these moves. You can just get a regular dash and get out of there. I think it's really cool. But at the same time, you don't have to do that. You can just parry the first blade. If you parry the first blade, it opens up the opportunity for you to parry the second blade or another blade, because he'll go for another strike, something like that, whatever. But the way you fight him can be, or is, very interesting, and it can be, it can be a good back and forth between you and the player. I love that they put this enemy in the game, and that's just a couple things that I talked about. That's not everything that we're talking about regarding this character.
You know, most of the elite enemies have actual boss upgrades, so there's no reason this guy shouldn't exist. He features a lot of similar attacks as the elite version, but is more aggressive and generally has more interesting attack patterns. He also has the special string of attacks where he will not take any daze, so you can only dodge and do damage while he's doing it. It's a fine gimmick. Now where I take issue with him is this 125% stun multiplier. Obviously this means that the reward for stunning him is diminished.
Is Blade talking about the slash attacks that he doesn't take any daze? During the slash attacks that he does where his blade's on fire, he buffs himself up. He doesn't take any daze. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So I'm going to let Blade finish, but I do want to interject real quick. The reason that exists is because I don't want to say you're being punished, because it's not really a punishment, but it is at the same time. So basically, because you didn't stop him from doing something, the enemy was rewarded to advance. You know what I mean? Like, so, hey, you didn't stop me from getting to the next level, so my reward is being in the next level. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I don't think that's a bad thing in the slightest. Now, again, this coming from somebody who, I love me some Monster Hunter, obviously fighting games. I'm familiar with this type of back and forth system where if I do something and you stop it, okay, I get punished, right? I don't get my reward. I don't get what I was looking for. But if I stop you from doing something, I get my reward, right? I get to, and in the case of Zenless or an action game, this is easily equated to, we can use the daze meter. If I parry you, I build up your daze. If this was a PvP game, your job is to not let me daze you, i.e. not let me stun you. The same concept is being applied here between player and enemy. I just don't think players are thinking about it that way.
So you want to do more outside of the stun window, and since he's aggressive, you want a useful dodge counter. Jeez, I wonder what else happened this patch. Well, the banner characters happened. It's obvious that you're supposed to dodge counter this guy, so SAMB is a good matchup into him.
That isn't entirely true. It's not wrong, but it's not true. It's not entirely true to the point where this is the only answer, because he does have parry windows or parry opportunities to make that happen. And just like I'm gonna keep mentioning Seth, guys, but even if I didn't mention Seth and I mentioned Chingy with her ultimate, because she has the ability to do that, or Lighter with his ultimate, because he has the ability to do that. You have moments. This enemy is lockable. I don't really want to use that term, but you can stop him from moving, right? Like you don't have to let him do certain things. And that's a part of, like I said, Monster Hunter for me specifically. Impair. There we go. You can interrupt. Thank you. You can impair him and you can interrupt him to stop him from doing these things. So while yes, this enemy was basically made for a Sanbi and trigger combo, because it gives you the options or the benefits of dodge counters and parries, it is not your only option to fight with Sanbi and trigger. And I think that's kind of all I wanted to say.
But the other half is that a flat stun multiplier increase will be more beneficial because it's a larger percentage increase in damage than if it was a normal 150% stun multiplier. So this is also pretty blatant trigger shelling. It's not like either of these characters invalidates the boss or that he's impossible to deal with without them, but I also hate this direction. Honkai Star Rail is the extreme of this problem, where it feels like every patch and enemy is blatantly shielded for the current banner characters, and it's pretty bad, like Brain Rot Monkey with Rappa and Nikador with Herda. I don't think Zenless Zone Zero has anything quite as extreme as those yet, but Bringer comes pretty close with Miyabi. Last, there's also this weird mechanic where apparently you can impair him. I think it happens when you hit the tank on his back, but I don't think it does anything. I've never been able to impair it outside of a stun window, so maybe the impair builds some days. So maybe it's a skill issue on my part, but I don't really know how you're supposed to be able to hit it before it's stunned.
I'll turn on the game for the sake of this video and try and show you guys. Actually, I don't even think he's still in here. If he is, then if I have to play Shiyu to get to this guy, I'm not doing it. Because I don't feel like wasting the time for it. But you can, so okay, the way that his impair works is just doing the damage. One of the things that I really want to test that I just have not tested And the reason I haven't tested it is because we haven't had a reason to. If you attack the tank directly, you might do more damage in order to impair him faster. But the reason I'm thinking about that, the only reason I'm thinking about it that way, is because Nekomata has something in her kit with M1 and the W engine where the things that she does counts as back attacks, which means the game has coded it. It's coded in the game that back attacks are a thing. And that's the only reason I want to test it and see like if that actually matters for what's going on here to impair it faster. But the way that you can impair it is literally just parrying him. Like if you parry him, it does a set amount of days and it helps the damage rack up. And then you're doing damage on top of that. So how you impair him is to just hit him really hard. Anby does not hit him hard enough, if that makes sense, right? Like, yeah, you're doing the damage with Anby because she's zip, zap, zooming all over the place. But we need to take into consideration the fact that Aftershock is irrelevant. I don't know why they made Aftershock count that way, but it doesn't build up days, which means it's not working towards the impair for this specific enemy. Trigger is Trigger, and all of her moves count as Aftershock. So it's doing the days, but it's not doing the damage, if that makes sense. So you really just gotta punch this guy really fucking hard. You have to hit him really hard, or you get the days, or you do the dazing, I should say. So I don't know. That's an interesting like way to approach how he feels about this character though.
So I don't know what the point of being able to impair it is. It normally makes sense that a boss is stronger if you can potentially impair them.
That. Hold on. He just did it. This moment right here, if he would have parried, he probably would have gotten an impair, especially given the fact that the enemy is already this low in HP. But he's asking the question. He doesn't know the reason for the impair. The reason for the impair is so he doesn't do this. You see where, is my mouse on the screen? You guys can see it. All right, awesome. His tank is red. It's burning up. He has the flame slashes. Look at the range on this fucking sword. Do you see how big of a, okay, like if we're talking hitboxes, I don't have a way to draw on my screen, but the hitbox of this move is going off the screen. The tip of the sword is right here. The hitbox is way the fuck over here, right? So if you impair him, the hitbox significantly reduces, the damage reduces, and he doesn't turn the flames on because his tank is broken. The reason to impair him is to make the fight easier for yourself so that you don't have to work as hard. You have more opportunities to do damage, and you can hit him without him moving as much. Impairing him basically locks out some of the strongest tools in his kit.
It only makes sense that a boss is stronger if you can potentially impair them. But if that impair isn't practical, it's just stronger for no reason. Fortunately, I don't think that has negatively affected this boss. Now for the last two enemies introduced in the latest 2 Shi defense rotations. First off is Hugo, and I don't have...
My boy better say I have no issues with Hugo. Shadow Hugo is so cool. Shadow Hugo he's such a cool character. And I will say my issue with Shadow Hugo is that he allows the player to get away for free. If Shadow Hugo was way more punishing, this would be a top 3 boss in the game. I think they actually need to change Shadow Hugo and make him stronger.
Too much to say about him. In a weird way, he doesn't shill any particular character, or at least not any of the banner characters, which I think is a good thing. He came out on a patch with 2 electric characters, and the next 2...
I hate this about Hugo so much.
Physical and fire.
Look at all this time, bro. Look at all this. You have all the time in the world to do anything against Hugo, and they give you infinite fucking parries.
Which I think is a good thing. He came out on a patch with 2 electric characters, and the next 2 will be ice and ether, yet he's weak to physical and fire. His main
this has to be the easiest I don't want to play the game boss ever.
Where you must parry him 3 times while he's doing the slow-mo to build up a lot of days. You know, this would be cool, except they already did this in Deadly Assault. It's just a little more cinematic. Okay, this is a fine thing to reuse, but did we really have to do the shorter stun duration thing again? I hate this a bit less than the Pteroraptor, because unlike him, at least there's kind of a reason for a shorter stun duration. In exchange for an easier stun, each stun is worth less than normal. That's a reasonable trade-off. I didn't take much time fighting him, so I don't remember much about if his HP felt reasonable, but I will say that he's the first enemy in Shi defense that didn't completely explode against my M2W1 Miyabi, so take of that what you will. Of course he has ice resistance, but
Blade, I think you just said why the stun window is shorter on him. I think. Let me try and explain what's in my head. You mentioned that you have an M2W1 Miyabi. So I'm assuming that you're using the standard Miyabi team, whatever. Probably Miyabi, Yanagi, Astra, or something like that, right? The reason the stun window is shorter, at least from what I can assume, right? I'm not the dev, so I can't tell you the 100% definite answer. I'm just going to go off my assumptions based off the game information available to me. I feel like the reason that the stun window is shorter with Hugo in particular is, one, because of what you said. You have a much easier time building days on this character due to his mechanic. But two, we're in a meta or in a situation where a lot of the characters now just do damage outside of stun. The last couple characters that we got do damage outside of stun, and they passively stun over time. Excuse me. Also, something that's really cool about Shadow Hugo that I don't think is brought up to light, you don't have to do the 3 parry thing at all, right? Like it wastes time. So something that speedrunners have done is they just get hit. I know that sounds crazy, especially because the fact that he can just kind of like 2-tap you. But if you get hit by the first slash, he doesn't do the next 2 slashes, like the counter dodge phase. It just won't happen. He'll immediately do the slash, you get hit, and then he chills out, right? Like his weapon goes on cooldown or something like that. And that's another opportunity for you to do whatever it is that you want to do with him. You are literally fighting one of the easiest bosses in the game. There's nothing hard about it. Looks cool. There's nothing hard about Shadow Hugo at all. If you dodge, it counts as a parry. You don't get the days though, but if you do anything besides get hit, he will do all 3 of his slashes. He will do all 3 counter dodge slashes. So in order for you to not deal with that, to reduce time, you just get hit. Again, I know it sounds crazy because he will 2-tap your ass. So the safe route is to parry, dodge, whatever. Now, what makes this fight purposely annoying, and why if Blade says this, I could completely agree, but I don't think Blade is going into this part. The issue isn't the small stun window. The issue is, even if you were to outsmart Hugo, you knew that he was going to do the parry, dodge, whatever. You can't hit him. Everything you do during that dodge counter phase when he goes into witch time doesn't matter. If you pop an ult, and I'm sure we've all accidentally done this, if you pop an ult when he goes into witch time, you just wasted your ult. It's gone now. You don't get it back. If you use an EX skill to try and stun him during witch time, you don't get it back, right? If you parry, well, now he's just gonna do it again. And so all the things that you're doing, we can even see it. Let me see if we can go back to it real quick. I think it's about here.
Kind of a reason for a shorter stun duration.
The days that's being built up,
each stun is worth less than
is
normal.
whenever you parry.
That's
boom,
a reasonable
there's a
trade-off.
parry.
I didn't take much time fighting him, so I don't remember
There's
much
the
about
ult.
if his HP felt reasonable, but I will say that he's the first enemy in Chi defense.
And
that
he
didn't
should do it
completely
right
explode
around
against my
here.
M2W1 Miyabi, so take of that.
Yep. Look at that.
I didn't take much time fighting him, so I don't remember much about if his HP felt reasonable.
Damage. You see, for that instance of time when Evelyn is starting her chain attack, like that big initial hit that she does with the chain attack, it's just being missed. Mind you,
defense that didn't completely
there's no days being built up here.
Miyabi, so take of that.
All of those hits only built up 1% days.
But that has
Had to get the parry with lighter. Hugo takes reduced damage from what it looks like.
against my M2W1 Miyabi, so take of.
Yeah, Evelyn does way more than 20k on these hits. Normally Evelyn does way more than 20k on these hits, especially with Astra on the team. Yeah, I'm pretty positive I'm correct on this. He's taking reduced damage. He doesn't take reduced damage. I really don't want to say anything about the damage of the Evelyn. I feel like it's safer for me to say that it's reduced. And I know that he's intangible for a few seconds after the parry. I understand that. But having Lighter on the team and Evelyn and Astra, she should be popping 100k. Like, these are plenty of. Ellen does more damage than this. So it's either, and again, I don't want to speak on Blade's Evelyn because that's not my purpose here. Either this is being reduced or the Evelyn just isn't doing the damage.
Of that what you will. Of course, he has ice resistance, but that hasn't stopped her until now. The moveset is otherwise.
And look at that right there, completely whiffed.
Of course, he has ice resistance, but that hasn't stopped her until now.
Whiffed.
The moveset is otherwise quite aggressive.
And my boy, he MJ'd you.
Of course, he has ice resistance, but that hasn't stopped her until now.
Smooth criminal. Like, he literally MJ'd you. Frame by frame, Lighter just got MJ'd. The same pose and everything. This dodge is nasty work. Exactly. The same pose and everything. My boy got MJ'd. I can't. Lighter really got, like, he got stunned on like that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Moveset is otherwise quite
and
aggressive.
then he goes
like
into
earlier,
doing immediately what he
easier
wants to
stun,
do.
That's a fair enough
right?
trade-off.
And look, I have to be right. How much is that?
Is otherwise quite
What is this
aggressive,
Evelyn
but
doing?
like
Hold on.
earlier, in exchange for the
Is that 10Ks or 100? No, yeah, I'm right. Okay, 109.65. No, that's 10. That's 10,000. Why are you doing 10,000?
That's a fair enough trade-off.
You should be doing way more than 10,000.
Finally, we have the current rotation with Palicus.
That's 100. Okay, that's 100K. I don't know. I don't even. That's 100K. No, it's not. That's 6,000. 6,266.
Stopped her until now. The moveset
right?
is otherwise quite aggressive, but like I said earlier,
bro, math is my worst enemy. I tell you what. 10965. That's got to be 100,000, right? 100. That's 100. Yeah, that's 100,000. No, it's 10K. Why is the Evelyn doing 10K? 10965. Okay, that's 10,000. Why is this doing 10K?
It's your son. That's a fair enough trade-off. And finally, we have the current rotation with Palicus.
I just need to know why it's doing 10K. I just need to know why it's doing 10K. That's it. And again, I'm not even trying to shade. I feel like this is because he's taking reduced damage. Is that not it? It's 109,650.
Trade-off. And finally,
I'm confused. Yo, math is fucking us up today, bro. He probably doesn't want to one-hit the boss. Yeah, totally.
Earlier in exchange for
totally. No. Look. That's 10965. 10965. That's 5 numbers. 100K is 6 numbers. So it has to be 10K. Yeah, that's 10K. Okay, so either Evelyn is doing poo-poo damage, unfortunately, or Hugo is taking reduced damage in these windows. And this might just be me harping, but the reason I'm harping on it is because I'm trying to explain why this particular thing that Hugo does is just stupid. You do more damage outside of this. Like if you take the hit, which again, fighting game shit, right? If you take the hit, ironically, it puts you in a better position than if you were to guard against the hit. And I think that's why they do this. The best case scenario for this particular instance of Hugo, they need to rework Hugo entirely. I think if I made anything, it's like taking the throat. Exactly. Hugo might be on my top 5, top 3 worst bosses in the game. Now that I'm paying attention to, because before I didn't pay attention like that. Now that I'm paying attention to Hugo might be top 3 worst enemies in the game. Not the good kind of worst enemies. I mean, like bad design. This is not a good boss fight. This is not a good boss fight at all.
For the easier son, that's a fair enough trade-off. And finally, we have the current rotation with Palicus. I have the most to talk about with this guy. In theory, there should be a really cool and fun enemy encounter. The idea of having 2 enemies with slightly less HP is completely reasonable. AoE is so...
I don't think he's fun to fight. I think he's fun to look at. I think the animations of Shadow Hugo are fun to look at. I don't think he's fun to fight.
Rarely valued for characters beyond cleaning up trash mobs on the first wave, and Nicole can usually make up for any weaknesses characters might have there. And for the first time in a while, there's a higher stun multiplier instead of a smaller one. And it's really cool to get both enemies stunned together and pull off a really satisfying kill on them.
Yes.
With them stunned together. Like 40 seconds without signature weapons, at least for me, is absolutely insane for a Shi defense clear.
Good rotation.
1.6.
Oh yeah, they're dead. They're cooked. They're cooked.
Plenty of stuff
easy.
Could have optimized better.
Easy
like
rotation.
The first combo. But there's also a reason I didn't bother trying again for anything faster. That's where the good things I have to say about it. First off, if we were to duplicate an enemy, did we really have to duplicate Thanatos, one of those notoriously annoying enemies in the entire game? And I mentioned stunning them together.
Wait, what? People think Thanatos is annoying? Why? We talking about regular Thanatos or we talking about notorious Thanatos? Notorious Thanatos is fun as shit. He got feints for days. He moves too much. Stop him from moving. What? Just don't let him move. What are we doing? Blood be teleporting everywhere? Oh, nah. Death pray. Hey, you know, Seth got it. He got it, bro. Seth got it like that, man. Yeah, I got up, you know. But no, I'm serious, right? We're back now. We're back now. You guys really think Thanatos is a problem? I feel like Thanatos is a cool boss, but maybe that's just me personally. You know what I mean? I don't think Thanatos is an issue at all. How do I stop him from moving? You interrupt it. So you stop him before he does a teleport, or which is like, you can let him teleport. There's nothing wrong with him teleporting because the teleport itself doesn't do anything, especially if we're talking about like regular Thanatos, right? Regular Thanatos teleporting around doesn't really do anything for you. Now, if you're fighting Thanatos and something else, that's when it becomes a problem because you can't keep up with his teleporting and you're trying to fight the other thing. So the easier way to make that fight, or to make that fight easier for yourself, just for like a little bit of advice, you focus on one. Usually I focus on Thanatos or I whip my camera around. So whenever I'm playing the game and I'm fighting something with my buttons, whatever, I always keep my eye on Thanatos, because you can mash and keep your eye on the big robot in front of you, you know what I mean? Or the big punchy guy in front of you. But if Thanatos is zipping around, you need to be aware, socially aware, or spatial awareness of what's going on. So his teleport is always gonna come towards you when it wants to attack. You guys are talking about like teleporting and he backdashes too much or whatever. That shit doesn't matter. If he's teleporting 50 feet across the map, who gives a fuck? Like you can't get hit. Ooh, what like, oh man, Thanatos teleported 20 squares away from me. What do? I'm gonna chase him. Why? For what? He's walking himself into a corner. Why are you chasing him? Then this is the game's concept behind this. Let's say that Thanatos teleports, right? He's over here in this little bubble or this corner. Let's say that he teleports across the screen and you followed him into the corner. You know what Thanatos' AI program is supposed to do? It's supposed to drag you in the corner, and then he does that one teleport where he teleports and then comes in with the slash. He teleports behind you all the time. His goal is to always teleport behind you. So if you chase him in the corner and he teleports away and you're facing the corner, the program is looking for your back turned so he can cut you, right? It's harder for you to turn around and do whatever. Yeah, he literally fucking vanish texts you on some DBZ shit. Why are you following him into a trap? That's what the teleport is for. When he's backwards, he's leading you into a trap. That's why whenever you don't follow him, what does Thanatos do, guys? He throws energy blades. You're not gonna follow me? Okay, I'm gonna throw a fireball. You're not coming my way? Okay, I'm gonna throw a fireball. If I can't get to you with my teleport slash, the combo, I'm gonna throw a fireball. I'm gonna do my dash to try and get closer to you, right? It's all programmed in that way. I don't think he's programmed like that. I've never had that happen, even if I chased him. So when you chase Thanatos, does he not do the teleport slash on you? I'm like legit curious on that, Smoke, because like that, I mean, and he's always, okay, he's always in front of you. Okay, that's fair. So maybe it's not programmed to be 1-1-1-1, right? Maybe it's changing it up. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't even, it's not a matter of like, yeah, and that's why I was asking earlier, right, Astro? Notorious Thanatos is a whole different beast, and he is easily one of my favorites. Notorious Thanatos is he has feints. So he'll teleport and do nothing. He will literally go vroom, 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 and then just appear. He might do one teleport and then come in with the slash. He might do one teleport, and then when he reappears, he's already charging to do a dash attack. Notorious Thanatos is super cool. Regular Thanatos is not a problem. Anyone that's struggling against regular Thanatos, it's in training room. You can practice all day and read all the moves. I taught you guys this on stream like a month or two ago about how to fight these normal bosses with training mode. But Notorious Thanatos is super easy to deal with. He's not a problem at all. Now, I will say, keeping up with two, not Thanatos specifically, but like a Thanatos and another enemy, I understand why that would be a problem, especially on mobile. I told you guys last stream about my experience playing on mobile for like the first time in a year. Not fun. Because I did have to fight Thanatos on mobile. But yeah, they should absolutely put all the enemies in training room. I completely agree with that. I've been advocating for that since like day one when I realized they all weren't there. But if we're talking about like, yeah, paired up, and then even in this case with Palicus, I like the Palicus boss fight because it forces you to, I don't even want to say play their game. It makes you aware, right? Because and I think this might be, now that I'm like listening to the video more and more, even though we're like only halfway through it, the more I listen to it, the more I'm starting to understand why I don't agree with certain things about like enemy designs. And I think differently, which might just be a testament to me and myself. I'm learning that people don't like playing, and not Blade in particular, this isn't about Blade specifically. I'm learning that people don't like playing the interaction. They don't really want to interact with the boss. They just want to beat it, right? Like you don't like the fight. You don't like the dance. You know what I mean? Like you don't like the dance between you and the enemy. You just want to kill it. You like the kill. How fast can I kill you? Oh, that was super awesome. I killed it in like 4 seconds, right? That's what people like. I'm learning that. I'm learning that they don't actually like the dance back and forth between what this enemy can do in response to what you do or what you can do in response to the enemy. I think it's the game trained us in a certain way and Thanatos breaks it. Maybe, you know, and I can't even say that wouldn't be the case, right? I think I would have to look into it a little bit more and maybe see where it's going on that. Because the way that I look at it is that like the game is teaching you, because isn't Thanatos like the very first boss that you fight, or like the second story boss when you're going through chapter 1 or something like that, the prologue? Don't you fight Thanatos before you fight Dead End Butcher, or you fight a version of Thanatos before you fight Dead End Butcher? So I feel like I can't even say that the game doesn't train you to fight it. because they expose you to Thanatos immediately. You're exposed to Thanatos and you're exposed to the sword guy, Dullahan. Oh, and that's Dullahan. Okay, you're exposed to Dullahan early on, but not Thanatos. But Dullahan has similar mechanics to him as well. He just doesn't teleport. The tutorial tells you to do a defensive assist, but then this fucker forces you to dodge. Well, yeah, because the tutorial also teaches you about the red assist. The tutorial teaches you about defensive assist with parries, but then they also teach you about red assist. That's why Billy has a dodge, and that's why Nicole or Anby on the team, the beginner team, has a parry, the yellow. They teach you both differences. Yeah, no, I completely get it, but you know, that's why I'm just, excuse me, that's why I'm saying, I think it's just going into the thing where like players they're not looking for the patterns, the learnings, the interaction. They're looking for, one of you said it earlier, it's not the journey. They don't want the journey, they want the destination. Who just said that? Crab. They aren't about the journey, they're about the destination. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling, you know? But again, maybe it's just me. My Monster Hunter brain, when it comes to a lot of like enemy design and shit like that, work with it.
For satisfying moments, you know how hard that is? Most of you guys probably know if you tried. It's a nightmare. These guys love jumping away and iframing you. And there's one tech that should in theory help you position them, but nope, they have a new version, just laugh at you for trying to get them near each other. Okay, so you know what? Setting them together is too much effort, so let's just not bother. Sure, the other guy can. Okay, so you know.
Wait, what?
Nope, they have a new version, just laugh at you for trying to get them near each other. In theory, help you position. These guys love jumping away and iframing you. And there's one tech that should in theory help you position them, but nope, they have a new version, just laugh at you for trying to get them near each other.
What's he talking about? I'm talking about the triple jump that either ends in a parry opportunity or a curve shot. That's the best shit in their kit. What are we doing? That's the best shit in the kit. I think this might be a really good example of what I'm explaining. The cool stuff, the hell you mean it sucks? It sucks because you don't know how to fight against it. That's why it sucks. The actual thing that it's doing is cool. The actual thing that it's doing is really cool. Because again, it's giving you that player interaction and it's forcing you to make a decision. I'm using force, and I think people are gonna take what I'm saying a little bit too literal. I don't when I say force, I don't mean something that like you have to do it or else. But because it sounds negative that way, but I do mean it in a way where this is a good thing. We constantly ask, and you know, this goes into what we were talking about earlier, way earlier when I said it about the in-game stuff. How do you make in-game? How do you balance it around the gacha aspect of the game? Whatever. How do you make things without HP inflation, power creep? This is how you get interesting mechanics. So we can't have our cake and eat it too. And I hate that saying, but it fits right here, right? You can't complain about not having interesting mechanics. The game gives it to you, and then you complain about the mechanics because you don't like them. I don't want to do that. Okay, well, what do you want to do, right? I don't want to play based on the new characters and whatever it is. Okay, well then what do you want to do? This triple jump thing that they do is a way to stop you from mashing. Oh no, I said it. It forces you, again, using that word, like trying to use it loosely. You can't mash. If you're mashing attack and they're dashing away or teleporting away from you, they're gonna punish you with a curve shot. If you go for the parry and because you were mashing, one of them isn't in sync with the other, that's another thing that we should talk about with this boss. I don't know if you guys noticed it. Excuse me. If you knock the bosses out of sync with each other, they start doing things completely separate from the other until they sync back up. So if you knock them out of sync, one enemy might shoot blades, right? The other enemy might be teleporting and dashing around doing whatever. Until they sync up, they're not gonna do the same pattern or whatever it is they're trying to do together, because their whole thing is to pin you down and delete you. Both of them, I don't know if you've ever gotten deleted by this enemy. I have. They delete you. If one of them catches you in a slice, the other one comes in with a dash, and then they continue to combo. Like it's really easy to get deleted by this enemy if you let it happen or you make a mistake. But I think it's good. Maybe I'm unrelatable, but figuring out how to control both Daze bars and stun them back to back with Evelyn was one of the most satisfying things I've done in a while. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think it's just literally a player difference, but I don't believe that this would make these enemy designs bad, because I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to pose the question. How would you change the twins to make them better bosses? The moment someone says, oh, well, you just take away they shouldn't be able to give you a parry or a curve shot. You should just take it away and make it only one. Why? Now it's too telegraphed. It's in smoke. It's totally, that's a thing. Again, Monster Hunter brain. It's totally fine to get pissed off. I cannot stand fighting Rajan. Rajong is super easy, and Kieran. These two bosses in Monster Hunter can be super easy to anybody else. Kieran and Rajong and Plesioth are my top 3. I don't want to fight these monsters, and I love them. I love, not Plesioth, fuck that character, or fuck that monster. I love Kieran and I love Rajong as monsters, right? Fighting them, don't come calling me to fight no fucking Rajong. If we're fighting Kieran, y'all go do the work. I'm gonna go mine some crystals until you kill it. Until you break the horn, I'm gonna go mine some crystals, right? That's how I feel about those, because I hate fighting them. They piss me off so much, but that I can't take away from the fight themselves being good. Kieran being able to ram the shit out of you, lightning horn on your wake up, back kick you like a horse, right? Or shoot lightning bolts all the way down the plane. Rajong being able to boom boom. I'm amped up now, baby. I'm Super Saiyan. Jumps in the air and does a fucking Blanca ball immediately. Like, he literally does instant air Blanca balls. Why does he have the ability to do that? And it's worse because it's Capcom. Capcom made Blanca balls. Like, Blanca is from Street Fighter. They said, what if we made Blanca a monster and put it in Monster Hunter? Blanca ball, instant air. Why do you have this ability? Then he has a command grab out of it. Oh, guess what they did? They gave Blanca a command grab out of Blanca ball, or a fake Blanca ball in Street Fighter 6. Come on, I can't stand fighting that motherfucker, bro, but he cool. He cool, you know, he cool. So I think it's just one of those things, to be honest. Players don't want they want the challenge. They don't want what the challenge actually brings.
Okay, so you know what? Setting them together is too much effort, so let's just not bother. Sure, the other guy can hit you during your stun window, and it's a little annoying, but you know what? That's gameplay. Burst windows have enough iframes, and figuring out how to dodge and avoid hits is gameplay. So let's say I didn't manage to kill it, and now what on earth is this? Why are you wasting my time with this? This isn't cool or interesting or cinematic. These infill phases just feel like time wasters. I'm open to something.
Blade, I have news for you. This video is long as shit. I apologize. It's just, I told y'all, I really love watching these kind of videos because there's so much that you can get out of these 9 minutes on what to talk about, right? I love talking about Zenless. I have news for you, big dog. The reason that this happens, you asked the question. Let me go back and see exactly what you said so I can kind of like break it down.
Have enough iframes, and figuring out how to dodge and avoid hits is gameplay. So let's say I didn't manage to kill it, and now what on earth is this? Why are you wasting my time with this? This isn't cool or interesting or cinematic.
You just said it. You just said it.
Now, what on earth is this? Why are you wasting my time with this?
Why are you wasting my time with this? You are being punished for not killing both twins at the same time. The answer to your question, Blade, is that you actually are being punished for not killing them at the same time. So the game, and we talked about this earlier in the video, right? The game has ways of encouraging a player to perform a certain way in order to get your reward as a player, right? Hey, I did this thing, so here's my reward. I get rewarded, just like I'm gonna mention fighting games all the time. Super familiar for me. I try and make you guys familiar with it when I explain it so you guys understand it. Fighting game, 1v1, right? I don't know why I did it this way when you guys over here. So 1v1, right? Boom. I put you in a corner. My reward for putting you in the corner is now I get the mix up. I get corner combos. Your back's against the wall. You can't keep walking backwards anymore. Now you have to fight. You got to block or you got to fight. And if you make the wrong move, guess what? It's my turn again. I get a reward for that. The same concept applies in action games to a lesser degree because you're not doing a 1v1, right? It's a computer or an AI, but the same concept applies. So the game, the enemy, right? The dancer, Palicus, you took out my sister, but I'm still alive. Obviously she's trying to kill you. Like lore wise, the blades are so they can kill you. They're big as shit with a bunch of them so that if you don't dodge correctly, you get killed, right? In game, because you're playing in Shiyu defense, the thing based on time, the purpose of this move is literally to waste your time. You did not take them out at the same time. So now the game is coded. We're going to waste your time. You've been punished. So now we waste your time. Am I saying that's the best mechanic in the world? Probably not. But I think it encourages you now, right? Now, if you understand this, you're like, damn, I want to work at killing them at the same time. You did it earlier right here. An amazing Zhu burst combo that you pulled off, right? Where you were able
to just not bother. Sure, the other guy can hit you during your
delete. Hold on, let me go back so we can show it off. You deleted the fuck out of both of them. Boom, 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 gone, right? Make sure they're all the way back real quick. Delete it, cleaned up shop. And so your reward, as you said, you cleared this in 40 seconds. That's an amazing time in today's version of Zenless Zone Zero. With the HP inflation that we're talking about, you cleared them in sub 60 seconds. That is fucking fantastic. Not everybody can do that. You as a player are encouraged to learn how to do that. When you don't do it, now you get this. And if you notice, your time is off. Before you cleared at 740. Now you're clearing and you still haven't cleared yet, and you're at 721. You're forcefully being your time is being wasted on purpose. That's the best way to say that. Your time is being wasted on purpose for this reason in the game. Like it's purposely doing that because the player and enemy interaction has to exist. If there was no player enemy interaction, I'm telling y'all, you don't want this. As much as people complain about it, at some point we collectively need to, I'm not even gonna say skill issue, that's not what I'm trying to get at all. Collectively we need to just kind of push this agenda. If we keep asking for stuff like this to not exist in the game, across any game, Wuthering, Zenless, Starro, whatever, I don't even want to mention Starro. Fuck Starro. Not fuck Starro obviously, but I'm saying that in the sense of like that's not a part of my conversation right now because they're doing their own shit. Zenless and Wuthering, if we keep asking for boss mechanics to be removed from the game, we're gonna get another Genshin Impact. You are going to turn your beloved game, whatever that game may be, you're gonna turn it into Genshin Impact, where none of the boss mechanics matter. They purposely do stupid shit. Like there's something in the game right now with the pillars, and the only way to do it is if you have a Natlan character so that you can ride up the pillar or something like that. And if you don't have a Natlan character, because Genshin has shitty traversal mechanics, you have to climb up the pillar. You're gonna start getting stuff like that in the games that you adore. If you keep saying or complaining about things like this, which I'm not even saying that your video is negative, by the way, Blade. I don't want to push that across at all. I'm speaking in a passionate state at this point. And Zol, the problem, right? Like you're saying they give a Natlan character for free, which you're correct on that. So now you're telling me that you're forced to play that character even though they might not be a part of your team, right? Like, because I'm talking about the Spiral Abyss. I'm talking about inside of Spiral Abyss, not like outside of Spiral Abyss or whatever, where things like that don't matter, but inside of Spiral Abyss. Yeah. And so yeah, you're being gate kept essentially. But in this game, in Zenless, you can fight the Palicus without being gate kept. They're not gatekeeping you. It's just encouraging you to find a way to kill them at the same time. And so there's a couple different ways you could do that. In a situation like here, right? What could have happened, and this is what I would have done if I did not want to deal with the blades. The blades aren't even that bad, you just dodge them. But if I didn't want to deal with the blades, what I would do is I would purposely run away. I would stop my attack because he's gonna kill this thing. I'd stop. I would run away because the thing is stunned, it can't chase you. And I would make this one follow me over there. And I would work on the stun meter as quickly as possible to do as much damage as possible before this one recovers from stun. That way, by the time this one is stunned and ready to kill, this one that unstuns or recovers is gonna find itself over to me and I'm gonna kill them both at the same time. That's what I would do to change my game plan if I cared that much about killing them at the same time. This is what I'm talking about when I say like change the way, adapt. I'm constantly learning and being told in Zenless. The number one rule that I was taught, right? My boy Nyx, that's my goat. Anyway, he hates when I glaze him, so I do it on purpose. The number one thing that I was told about this game, if you want to improve at this game, you have to learn how to recover fast. What does that mean? It means that you have to learn how to adapt to whatever situation is going on in the game in that moment. And every single boss fight that you do is different. The only time it's not different, I'm gonna bring up the Bringer fight where I locked him down, right? The infinite stun lock thing, whatever. The only time it's not different is when you've put enough practice into making sure this thing happens guaranteed all the time. You have learned the rotation, you understand the percentages, when to do this thing, how to do this thing, when to pop this, whose ult to save, whatever. That is the only time things become so formulaic, the rest of the fight doesn't matter.
That's gameplay. Burst windows have enough iframes, and figuring out how to dodge and avoid hits is gameplay. So let's say I didn't manage to kill it, and now what on earth is this? Why are you wasting my time with this? This isn't cool or interesting or cinematic. These invuln phases just feel like time wasters. I'm open to something interesting, but this isn't it. I don't think Zenless Zone Zero has implemented an interesting invuln phase yet, so maybe we can skip the cope like the TV mode. Zero has implemented an interesting.
Bringers is a bit more reasonable, but it's still annoying on Deadly Assault if you're running attackers. I think Bringer's invo phase is ass. I mean, it's cool, but like, I don't want to deal with it. I hate it. And then the eyeball thing, like, if you didn't kill my eyeball, here's a big ass sword. Like, come on, bro. Ain't nobody asked. No one asked Bringer to summon a fucking kaiju in the middle of my battle to use his goddamn sword. This is better than Bringer though. I'm not saying that Bringer is better or worse than Palicus, and vice versa, right? I'm saying that these mechanics exist for their own specific reasons. So in Bringer's case, I didn't destroy the eye, so guess what? Bringer gets rewarded for me not destroying the eye. No. I'm saying that I personally don't like Bringer's thing because he summoned the giant kaiju. That's it. I'm not saying it's bad or good compared to Palicus, right? They both have their positives, which player to enemy interaction, right? Which is what I was explaining. Don't kill Bringer eye. Bringer get big sword with kaiju Godzilla arm thing. Yeah. Don't kill both Palicus at the same time. One of them gets big energy blades. Waste your time, you know? So it just kind of goes into that. You can kill Bringer's eye with an attack or with an anomaly. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, anomaly is a little easier because of the effects that anomaly provides to itself. But excuse me, you can knock it out, no problem. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter how you deal with it. You can deal with it. Those moves aren't interesting, but most games have these type of mechanics. PoE has this type of mechanic. That's what I'm saying. A lot of the action, any action RPG that I've played, and I recently just bought Path of Exile, guys. I might set something up so I can play that and learn more about it. Who knows? I'll keep y'all posted. But a lot of that goes into that is a part of this. These other games have these mechanics. And that's what I'm saying. It's just literally player enemy interaction. If you don't stop the enemy from doing something, the enemy gets a reward. If you do something that works in your favor, then you get a reward, right? What's the reward for killing both at the same time? The game is over. GG's. I won. 40-second clear. What's the reward for stunning one but not the other? I now don't have to worry about both of them at the same time. But this is a double-edged sword. What is the punishment for not stunning both at the same time? Now I have to worry about the other one stopping me from doing all of my damage during this damage window or the stun window. So that one is a double-edged sword. And then of course the enemy punishes you because you didn't kill both at the same time. So then they waste your time by doing the big energy beams and things like that.
Interesting invuln phase yet, so maybe we can skip the cope like the TV mode, pretending that they can work, and just get rid of them for future enemies. All
Geppetto's one phase? Okay, you can phase them out.
And wasted potentials in a new enemy encounter. It feels like there's obviously a correct way to kill it, so you don't waste time with the invuln phase, but it's so annoyingly difficult that the vast majority of players won't do this, and instead we just have two of the most annoying enemies with more annoyance on top. This time, instead of just complaining, I'll offer what should have happened with these guys to be a fun encounter. It's really simple. Either get rid of the invuln phase garbage or make grouping them together more skillful. The trade-off between
I'm out. What?
This time, instead of just complaining, I'll offer what should have happened with these guys to be a fun encounter. It's really simple. And instead waste time with the encounter. It feels like there's obviously a correct way to kill it, so you don't waste time with the invuln phase, but it's so annoyingly difficult that the vast majority of players won't do this, and instead we just have two of the most annoying enemies with more annoyance on top. This time, instead of just complaining, I'll offer what should have happened with these guys to be a fun encounter. It's really simple. Either get rid of the invuln phase garbage or make grouping them together more skillful. The trade-off between effort and reward is in theory there, but the effort part should make you feel like you have control over the outcome instead of just hoping for attacks so that they walk near each other.
You do have control over the attacks though. I mean, and I'm saying that, and I'm literally looking at the screen. Blade is doing it. This entire example that he's talking about this, mind you, he's playing the Miyabi team, and I'm not going to take away from that, but Blade is controlling the pace of the game right here, controlling the pace of the match.
It's really difficult that the vast majority of players
Miyabi has access to freeze.
Won't do this, and instead we just have two of the most annoying enemies with more annoyance.
Now here's, and maybe he was aware of the ICD, I'm not too sure. Notice how this one is frozen back here, but this one is not frozen. It's building up though. And so right here, he builds up enough to get EBA.
Majority of players won't do
he
this,
does EBA.
And instead, we just have two of the most annoying enemies.
And instead of leaving Miyabi on the field for just a little bit more to freeze the other one, he quick swaps into Yanagi too early. So now the other one, they're both not frozen, but they're both grouped together, right? Miyabi can come out. If he quick assists right here with Miyabi, he can get the freeze. Another thing that he should have done,
won't do this.
Let me see if we can scope it out here whenever the switch happens. I wish I could see the other one back here, but I can't. So right here, Yanagi comes out. She's going to do EX skill. Boom. That's a quick assist attack.
Enemies with
She holds the EX skill right there. The meter is not all the way built up, but remember what I told you guys about Yanagi or Miyabi. Miyabi has the freeze on one of them, but not both.
annoyance on top.
So he burns 2 EX skills right here. That's a disorder pop. He burns another. Boom.
Instead of
and the other one teleports out. What should have or could have happened, what would have been a better play from what I'm looking at, would have been to stop the EX skill after.
But it's so more annoyance on top.
Here, don't do another EX skill here. Quick assist into Miyabi. She comes out, and then Miyabi would have froze the other one immediately, which is also the one that teleported away. You see? Look at the difference in the anomaly stuff, right?
Encounter. It's really simple. Either get rid of the invuln phase garbage or make
this one
them
is going to get frozen.
Skillful.
Boom, that's a freeze right there.
Effort and reward,
and you see the other one
there, but the effort part should make you feel like you have control.
It's almost frozen. That's another freeze. That one's almost frozen again.
I do understand why they
freeze.
picked Thanatos because.
Oh wait, I'm too far ahead. My bad.
Planning a lot
back here.
What should have happened with these guys to be a fun encounter. It's really simple. Either get rid of the invuln phase garbage or make grouping them together more skillful. The trade-off between effort and reward is in theory there, but the effort part should make you feel like you have control of the outcome instead of just hoping for attack.
Oh wait, I'm still too far back. What the fuck?
I'll offer what should have happened enemies with more.
There we go.
More annoyance.
Right here. That disorder pop right here. If he would have quick assisted into Miyabi instead of going for another EX skill, this would have given him another freeze. The one that needs to be frozen is the one that just teleported all the way back there. And so this is one of the things we broke it down. Remember when we were talking about this from Jelly's daily assault run? We broke this down, and I'm only doing this like in the middle of this because I'm just here now looking at it. But when you go back and you watch the replays of like what you're doing or what you can do to improve, had you paid attention to the anomaly meter, which is a thing that we talk about with Vivian or Will, had you paid attention to the anomaly meter in that specific moment and you quick assist with Miyabi instead of going for Yanagi, what would have happened? You would have got the freeze. That one wouldn't have went anywhere. Then because you got a freeze, that would have given you another point. You could have EX skilled. This would have built up the freeze for this enemy. You could have EBA'd, swapped out, and went into Yanagi or Astra, and Yanagi would have enough meter to do a final EX skill, or 2 potentially, because we would have had meter, right? Because you didn't do the final EX skill before. You would have had enough meter to get double disorder and polarity disorder at the same time on both of them lined up back to back. Miyabi would have been able to come out again and pop off another EBA because you would have gotten 1 freeze, 2 shocks, 2 disorders, and a polarity disorder all in succession.
Complaining, I'll offer what should have happened with these guys to be a fun encounter. It's really simple. Either get rid of the invuln phase garbage or make grouping them together more skillful. The trade-off between effort and reward is in theory there, but the effort part should make you feel like you have control of the outcome instead of just hoping for attacks so that they walk near each other. I do understand why they picked Thanatos because duplicating some other enemies might be a little too easy because they wouldn't move too much.
Yeah, now he's right back into the situation.
This is just an artificially difficult and really annoying encounter. Now that I've finished talking,
corner shot is a way to go against them. You could use the corner, put him in the corner. All he's saying is make the game easier. Stop making enemies that fight back. I don't like that. I don't want to say that, guys, because I want to encourage more people to want to get better at the game. So I think it really just comes down to that. Like it depends, maybe. But that 100% blade, if you do happen to come across this, you could absolutely in that specific moment, you can control, or you could have controlled what happened to your favor. Especially if you got enough at the very end there to get your ultimate, you would have been able to just wipe them out at the same time. So I don't think it's something where, like, I hear what you're saying for sure, where it's like, man, I would really love if the game made it more skill expressive to group them, which they do. You just happen to be playing a team that forces you to play a particular way. Yeah, and I'm not even saying that Blade's like a bad player or anything like that, right? It's just, like I said, I go over my own plays. I have people watch over my plays. Like, I make mistakes all the time. Y'all see that all the time. We don't see things in the moment because we're the ones playing the game. It's way easier for anybody to analyze somebody's work, and they're not the ones in the heat of the moment, right? But I say that because it's as easy as it is, it's helpful, or it can be helpful to the player. So in that particular moment when we were talking about it, it would have benefited him to hold on to Yanagi's meter, right? Instead of doing
difficult, the vast
another EX skill right here, he's going to do 1 and then 2.
Two of the most annoying enemies. with more
This is the
annoyance.
one, and you see the energy right up here. Saving onto this energy right here would have allowed him to freeze and disorder, you know, and all that kind of stuff. He already made a ton of good videos. The point is just that we can't ignore the future bosses with odd mechanics who will invalidate our older characters. That was the point. But that's what I'm saying now. I don't think these new boss mechanics invalidate older characters. We talked about it earlier with who were we dealing with? The boss before this? Hugo. Hugo is my opinion like top 3 or bottom 3 worst enemies in the game, right? It's not a good boss fight at all. But the assault bomber is an amazing boss fight. Bomber is not, and when I was watching this through what Blade was saying, Bomber isn't, if you don't have Sambi, like, you lose, right? Or if you don't have Miyabi who breaks the game, you lose, whatever. You can play Bomber almost with whatever you want. Bomber legit has a mechanic or mechanics that you can play to your advantage, right? And it's not catered towards dodge characters, like you have to dodge. And if that is the case, again, Ellen and Nekomata are right there. If it's playing to dodge, why not take the 2 best characters in the game with the best the 2 best backdashing characters in the game, if that's what it's meant to be, right? But that's not the case. He has parry windows. I'm trying to hover over it without clicking on it because I don't want to miss my spot here. But this little flame slash that he does, Blade also mentioned like why impair. There's no point to impair. He didn't understand the reason to impair. We went over that as well in the video, or rather in our reaction to it. Because there's like Blade says a lot of things in here that are like really good to talk about. That's why I really do enjoy this video. I love that there's so much for me as a player to be able to dissect and then talk with everybody in the chat and then explain why these things are happening or like what you as a player can do to make it better or worse, whatever the case may be. So when I'm looking at this from this perspective with the Miyabi team that he has versus Palicus, he mentioned something about how in order to make it better, his advice or suggestion would be to remove it altogether or make it more skill oriented, right? Like it takes more skill to do that. But Blade is displaying the skill right now to do that and just made one mistake that cost him not being able to kill both at the same time. That's all that is. So he has it. Like the skill oriented factor is there. It's just a matter of you as a player getting to that point, you know?
Understand why they picked Thanatos, because duplicating some other enemies might be a little too easy because they wouldn't move too much. But as it is now, this is just an artificially difficult and really annoying encounter. Now that I've finished talking about each of them individually, there's a common theme among these enemies, and that is that they hate stunners. Short stun durations, stuffs.
What do you think about Bellum
lower
boss?
stun multipliers. All
What the hell is a Bellum boss?
Part, except for the last one for a few select characters. But why? I don't really know.
I don't know all the names.
It's that the devs want more activity out of enemies instead of just executing a combo during a stun window. Maybe they want to encourage this kind of gameplay more, where you're doing dodge counters and adjusting your gameplay in accordance to enemies' attacks. But this
Doppelganger
already exists
monkey?
through anomaly
I don't think I
characters.
fought that.
Even Palicus, with its larger stun multipliers, hates stunners since Thanatos parries fill up a lot of its dazed bars, so you don't really need stunners to stun them. I also have to theorize that the devs actually just don't like the stun mechanic. If they redesign the game, I feel like they get rid of the daze bar, because it effectively turns enemies into target dummies for that period of time. If you remember 1.0 discourse, people were complaining that combat was boring because enemies pose no threat, and if the enemy is stunned, well, there's even less than no threat. I've already mentioned this, but I really don't like this kind of direction, because stuns are some of the more exciting parts of combat to me. Preparing resources and dumping them during stun windows is just how combat has worked for the most part since 1.0, and it seems like they're trying to shift away from this.
I agree on that. I don't think that they're shifting away from it. I think they're just adding more options though. To be fair, stun is and has been in a pretty bad spot since people figured out anomaly is kind of messed up, really broken, right? Or I think something's wrong with my AC. It's shaking my desk. I realize that now. Which is super odd, by the way, but whatever. Anyway, I think I agree with what Blade is saying. Stunning enemies, I like that. I like the direction, or rather what's supposed to happen. You build up your resources to get to the stun window. You're working for the stun, right? Some characters or some teams are working for the stun. That's their game plan. I like that. Same thing with Hugo, right? Hugo is working for the stun so he can just nuke everything in one hit. That is his game plan. I like that. What I'm feeling a little bit though, I feel like they don't, or they're not really trying to work away from stuns. I think they just messed up. I mean, I told you guys this, right? Like Astra was a mistake, that she should not have been put in the game the way she is. But for a free-to-play player or the casual player, like, she's the best thing since sliced bread, you know? But from the game's perspective, adding a character or adding more characters that allow you to, or allow the player to ignore stun further, has created the problem or the mentality that Blade is expressing right now with some of the other players, and like how they just don't want stun.
On top of myself just finding this less fun, it also makes enemies harder by design. This is the actual issue. No one actually has to use stunners, especially if they suck for the encounter, but these anti-stunner things also affect every player, because if enemies are harder to do damage to, they feel tankier even if they have the same amount of HP as normal. Stun windows are the easiest time to do damage, on top of the best time to do damage. I think Honkai Star Rail's put the dreaded HP inflation on everyone's minds, and I think it's far from being an actual problem, but if enemies feel harder to do damage to because of these kinds of mechanics, it introduces the same kind of frustration as HP inflation. It's natural for enemies to get harder as time progresses, but especially in a pretty casual game like Zenless Zone Zero, I don't think that should come at the cost of fun. So instead of a bunch of frustrating messes of enemy designs, what would I like to see instead? Well, first off, how about we just stop hating stunners so much? That's not to say these anti-stunner gimmicks can't come back, but maybe not every—
Ace, Astra absolutely allows you to ignore stun. Astra is meant to help teams, anomaly or attack, just do a fuck ton of damage. Astra is basically Robin, or if you're familiar with Sorrow, Astra is literally E1 Robin, E1 Sunday, or E1 Ruan Mei, but in Zenless.
Every single enemy has to hate stunners so much. Here's an idea for an enemy that doesn't hate stunners and actually encourages them. What if an enemy required more days to stun, but in turn got weaker the more days was built up? Maybe at like 0 to 20% days, it takes massively reduced damage. Then as days gets built up, its shell breaks and it takes more damage. Maybe the stun multiplier gradually increases.
I like that idea, that concept. That's a cool concept.
Can do, or just artificially boost damage taken the higher days goes. Or instead of parries artificially stunning the enemy faster for the 5th time, maybe they just do less instead. Maybe an enemy could give the current active character energy or decibels when its days bar reaches a certain point. I don't know, I'm not the game designer, but hopefully I've made my point that there's plenty of ideas that exist that don't have to just include hating stunners. I'm not 100% sure if people are starting to struggle with S ranking stages or how annoying people are finding these enemies. After all, I think most people really only care about whether or not they can get the clear. But I still think this is important. It's good that enemies are starting to evolve and have gimmicks, but if they're taken too far, you end up with Honkai Star Rail, where enemies start to become character checks instead of battles.
I think, let me let it finish before I comment on that.
That being said, this has only really affected Shield defense, since Deadly Assault bosses are for the most part good fights, but it really wouldn't hurt anyone to release a physical weak Deadly Assault anytime soon, or really just any new boss. I don't think 1.6 had any new bosses, just a couple new buffs. Let me know if you agree with the points I brought up in the video, or if you thought I was wrong about anything. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Super solid vid. I think if we were to, that last point that he mentioned about the game, something about Star Rail and the thing becoming character checks. Something that happened with Star Rail that I want to briefly address that also kind of exists with Zenless, but the difference between Star Rail and Zenless is control. In Star Rail, things became more of a character or an archetype check because they were building up archetypes in the game. They were focusing on, you know, super break or follow-up attack, DOT, crit based, you know, whatever method they wanted to do. That's what they were aiming for, so they started building around that concept. But in Zenless's case, I don't think that's happening. However, I don't think the concept of, and this is something that I'm learning more players seem to have the mentality behind, is that they should just be able to clear everything with anything, even though Zenless is clearly designed or catered towards certain stuff. What do I mean by that? So in the game, if you go on a Deadly Assault and you read the descriptions of these enemies or the Deadly Assaults, whatever, you'll notice some of them have like, hey, every perfect dodge you do gives you some points, and every parry that you do gives you some points, but every parry that you do racks up the enemy's damage, but gives you like 35% extra days. You know what I mean? They have specific things built into whatever it is they're trying to do, or like how the enemy is designed to work, whatever, that you're supposed to fight against it, so that you bring a team appropriate against whatever you're fighting. And I think we've gotten to a point where, because Miyabi is who she is, Evelyn and Astra specifically, I guess with Lighter, are who they are. We have characters that just ignore mechanics, right? When you have a bunch of characters that ignore shit in the game, you get too comfortable and you assume everything else is supposed to function the same way, even though they just can't. It just can't work that way, right? Ellen versus the marionettes. Anybody or a lot of people can kill the marionettes, but Ellen specifically has a really favorable matchup against the marionettes because of her kit design and because of what the marionettes want to happen. Every clone that you kill up to 5k, you get these points for, right? What is Ellen really good at? Hit and run, bait and punish, or yeah, it's really it, right? Bait and punish or hit and run. The bait and punish playstyle. Backdash or sidestep, get the hit. One counter dodge takes out a clone, right? A well-built Ellen, one counter dodge takes out the clone. Because she's so fast at doing it, you can do it multiple times and take out a clone. Miyabi backdash, do whatever she wants, right? Or Miyabi BA5, she does full-on counter, nothing can touch her, right? Auto parry, she does damage, and you're more than likely gonna get the freeze. So Miyabi doing stuff like that is because she's allowed to do it. I can do whatever I want, right? Evelyn, chain attack, full screen chain attack, everybody getting blown up. I can do whatever I want. These characters that are coming out recently, and then players wonder why, like, oh, HP inflation, how do you defend HP inflation? Why is it happening? Because we've gained characters that are doing things that the previous cast is physically unable to do. That's number one. Number two, these characters are so strong or so adept at what they have access to that they're allowed to do things beyond their normal means, and they do it very well. They have an absurd amount of damage, especially given Astra. Now you take that a step further, and now you can do something where a lot of players, one of the things that you guys might have noticed, a lot of players are actually running the I call it Powerpuff Girls and everything, but like the double ether core, right? Nicole, Astra, DPS character. It doesn't even matter. The DPS character can be fucking anomaly. They can be attack type. They could be like, hey, I want another anomaly unit. Nope. Astra Nicole. You run Astra Nicole, you're 9 times out of 10, you're bopping whatever it is, right? Players are starting to run double ether. This allows them to override the damage qualification that they're missing. Yeah. So it becomes an issue when we have so much of that it becomes the norm now. Everybody should be able to do it. Mike Horan with Astra Nicole should just be able to smoke everything in the game. This thing is physical weak by 50%, but I should be able to smoke it with Mike Horan. Ignoring the mechanics, I should be able to beat everything in the game. Players are starting to adapt that mentality. I'm not saying that Blade is specifically, I'm just saying in general, this is what I've noticed. Players are starting to adapt that mentality, and it's horrible. It's a really bad mentality to have. The game is designing mechanics and enemies and different boss designs, different PU bonuses or buffs, different Deadly Assault bonuses or buffs. They're testing it in Hollow Zero so that you can see all the different moves. Different events are showing you the test. We should be playing towards the game. And of course, if you have characters that ignore the game's mechanics or laws, then use them to your advantage. Excuse me. So there's a lot that goes into that. There's also something that I keep mentioning that I understand might be a new thing for players, especially like the Hoyo base of players. And the fact that we don't have presets makes this a little bit more difficult for people, but you guys should absolutely be having multiple different builds for your characters. If you're playing Ellen, for instance, in an anomaly team, oh my God, you can't play Ellen in an anomaly team. Yes, you can. I'm not going to explain how you do it because that's not a part of this video. It's already like an hour and a half long, but yes, you can. Your anomaly built Ellen is not the same Ellen as your main DPS Ellen. It's completely different. If you're running Miyabi and your Miyabi is, remember the original Shiyu that she came out on? That Shiyu, for those that don't remember, that Shiyu defense gave what was it? A 28% or something like that. However much the disc is, however much anomaly proficiency the disc gives you, or anomaly mastery the disc gives you, which I think is like what, 24% maybe? The Shiyu defense gave you a little bit under that. So if the disc gives you 24%, the Shiyu defense gave like 20%. What this allowed players to do, which they didn't realize, and this is why that argument started or was validated at the time, was because a lot of players were like, yo, I can freeze no problem in Shiyu defense in the same combo that you can freeze with AM6. So you should just run attack. Attack is unanimously better. All the calcs say so. And they weren't taking into account the fact that Shiyu defense was giving you a free anomaly mastery disc, basically, which allowed you to get both benefits. In situations like that, the player needs to be more aware. Then they change their build so that you get more. If I'm being given an attack percent disc for free or free crit rate in whatever mode, fuck it. Why are we overcapping on crit? If a Shiyu defense started for whatever reason giving out 24% crit rate for free, you know you're already at 100% crit rate with your own build. Why wouldn't you change the crit rate to a crit damage or attack percent and make up the difference? We should be doing that. But I get it. Not everybody is you know, pushing for that. But I feel overall, because I'm done with the video at this point, I like what Blade is saying. I think there are some things though that could be argued against or discussed, which we did in this video, about the enemy designs as a whole. I don't think the enemy designs are bad right now. I think Hugo's is bad. Like, shout out Hugo's is horrible. And there might be a couple others that could be considered horrible, but I don't necessarily agree with like Palicus. I think Palicus is a really good design, boss design. I think Assault Bomber is a really good boss design. Jane Doe, super good boss design, right? Like, you have to play against the enemy. You can't just unga bunga without knowing what you're doing. Polkra, even oh yeah, it is Polkra, Shadow Polkra, and the other guy with the gun. Decent boss designs. The more boss pisses me off, the more I believe it's well designed. I could agree with that. We just talked about Rajang, so I could agree with that. I'm gonna end off that video. Guys, link is down in the description below. Y'all give Blade some likes and some comments. I'm gonna post it up here in Twitch as well, so that y'all have that if you want to watch it on your own time, or if you want to comment like, yo, came from EO's watch through of this, like when you said this, like when you talked about that. Give your own thoughts and opinions, right? Boost him up, help him get the views that he deserves for that video, and more likes, put it in the algorithm, let it refresh, all that kind of stuff. Just helping out the community. That's what we want to do here. That's it. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. I think I said that right. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.